Joel destroyed humanity's last hope for survival. The genocide of the Fireflies was an incredibly cruel act that may have had justification, but still doesn't deserve forgiveness. And do you think this decision will remain in the past and that a happy future awaits us? Oh no, friends, the first season of The Last of Us was just a warm-up before the real brutal story of revenge, self-discovery and redemption. Here are brief synopses of the second and third seasons. But what specifically will happen there? We will tell you in the next couple of minutes, so get comfortable. It will be very sad, hopeless and practically not positive. No, but seriously, if you haven't played The Last of Us sequel before, you'll be in for a shock in the next couple of minutes. Are you ready? Then let's go! To begin with, we would like to clearly state the topic of this video, which is spoilers. Of course, we won't tell the entire story of The Last of Us 2 to the end, because the ending of the second part without emotional subtext is illogical waffle. But in reality, by going through the entire plot from point A to point B with a variable visit to corridor C, D and E, you will understand the ending of The Last of Us 2 as it was intended by the game's creators. As for spoilers, we have put off this topic for a very long time, but sooner or later we would have to talk about it. The Last of Us is a game about Ellie, and where does Joel fit in, you may ask? Unfortunately, Pedro Pascal knew in advance that his appearance in the series sequel would be more episodic than on a regular basis. So we warn you again about spoilers, which means we can start. This March can officially be called the month of Pedro Pascal. He's being shown here and there, and it's hard to choose which of his current characters is more popular. After the events in Salt Lake City, our heroes finally make it to Jackson, where Ellie and Joel are waiting for Maria and Tommy. However, in the games, Joel's daughter-in-law wasn't pregnant and there was no talk of a baby. Anyway, after returning to Jackson, our couple really decided to live a normal life. As promised, in episode 9, Joel found a guitar and gradually began teaching Ellie how to play it. Around the same time, Ellie artificially burns her scar, giving herself a chemical burn. This way, no random passerby could accuse Ellie of being infected. The act itself remains off-screen, but in a conversation with Dina, Ellie shows her hand and tells her the story. However, the main thing is that Ellie no longer trusts Joel. For some unknown reason, for the first time in a long time, she feels that her closest person is lying to her. He's lying about what happened in Salt Lake City, and this thought will be eating away at Ellie for a very long time. Meanwhile, she's busy with her thoughts and gradually adapting to civilized Jackson. She settles in a guest house on Joel's property, which Maria allocated to him. Starting over, our rebel Ellie gradually makes friends with Dina and Jesse. As for Dina, she actually appeared in the first season. On her 16th birthday, Joel takes Ellie on a tour of a museum and gives her a gift in the form of a rare cassette with the sounds of a spaceship launch. It was an incredibly powerful moment that made players shrink in their seats, because by this point Joel is already dead and all these fragments are presented in the form of flashbacks. Ellie's mistrust of Joel gradually grows. In the simple and peaceful life of these two, there were moments when the girl felt that her formal adoptive father was hiding something. So one day she decided to go to that same hospital in Salt Lake City and try to find answers there. However, there she found only emptiness, wind and information that on that day he killed everyone in the hospital. He also killed the only person who could find a cure. He shot the doctor who could have developed a vaccine and saved the entire world. He took the girl, and now there is no hope of salvation, because there is no other specialist capable of understanding the cause of immunity to the disease. Upon learning this information, Ellie is in shock. Somehow Joel finds her and they have an honest conversation in which Joel reveals the whole truth, afraid of losing his adoptive daughter forever. The news devastates her, and although she agrees to return to Jackson, she declares that she will forever sever her ties with Joel, and for almost 2 years the girl ignores Joel, feeling intense hatred towards him. Over these 2 years, Ellie becomes even closer to her friends. Dina started dating Jesse, and Ellie secretly fell in love with her friend. And one morning, she and Dina leave for a routine patrol of the surrounding areas. Controlling infected and tracking the horde is a responsible task. During the patrol, the two become closer, but their idyll is interrupted by Jesse, who reports that Tommy and Joel have disappeared. But what happened to the brothers? Tommy and Joel also work in the patrol and went a different route than Dina and Ellie. Along the way, the two ran into a horde of zombies and a girl named Abby who was pinned down. The guys saved Abby, and the three of them barely made it out of the installment to a safe place. Abby took Joel and Tommy to a nearby house, where Abby's group was temporarily staying. Upon entering the house, Joel and Tommy introduced themselves as new acquaintances, offering their help and mutually beneficial coexistence of the two large groups. However, upon learning the names of the two newcomers from Jackson, the new acquaintances suddenly changed their faces. And what happened. Ellie and Dina managed to find Joel and Tommy before retribution was carried out. However, the efforts of the two girls were completely insufficient to stop this bloody massacre. Abby personally kills Joel in the most brutal way possible in front of Ellie, and our giraffe-loving character is briefly knocked out. To give you an idea of the shock, this moment happens around the second hour of the game. Everything we told you before about the search for the truth, about the happy life in Jackson, all of this was presented in flashbacks during the main storyline. After burying Joel, Ellie naturally dreams of taking down Abby, who so cruelly dealt with her loved one. Together with Dina, they set out on a big journey to find Abby and find many different answers. In addition, Tommy also left to search for Abby, and over time, the paths of all the familiar heroes will intersect. But who is this Abby anyway? And what the hell happened in that cabin? Remember how at the beginning of this video, we told you that Joel's action in Salt Lake City will not go unpunished? Yes, we were shown how he took down a whole crowd of fireflies, including a doctor in the operating room. However, these were far from all the fireflies. Many were in other rooms, patrols and so on. And yet, this was just a small part of the fireflies, a group scattered throughout the country. And most importantly, this very doctor had a daughter, Abby. There is even a scene in the game where Abby comes to the hospital right after the shootout and goes to the operating room where a few minutes ago some crazed person killed her father. In general, if you haven't played The Last of Us sequel, we highly recommend correcting this mistake in the next year or two, as the game is definitely worth your attention. Upon release, the sequel faced a wave of criticism because Naughty Dog meticulously released every promo video for The Last of Us 2, hinting to players that they were in for another journey with Joel and Ellie. No one could have thought that the main character would be killed in the first 5% of the game. As a result, the game was bombed on all websites and drowned in low ratings from people who hadn't even played the new game, but purposely visited sites to give a low rating just for the killing of Joel. And the fact that Abby's actions are methodically explained for several hours, telling you everything there is to know about her and why she did what she did. And that Abby herself is a very complex and ambiguous character. And by the end of the game, you will really empathize with her. And that Ellie is even more of an anti-hero than Joel in the sequel. All of this is part of a huge mosaic called The Last of Us 2. It is important to note that Neil Druckmann has repeatedly confirmed that the second part of the game will be adapted into at least 2 seasons. Therefore, considering HBO's schedule, the release can be expected no earlier than 2025 and 2027 respectively. Despite having an established team, the production of the first season actively started in 2020 and took at least 3 years. To be precise, attempts to adapt The Last of Us began immediately after the game's release in 2013. 2 years is a typical time frame for producing such scaled series within the streaming platform HBO. During this time, HBO was preparing Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Thus, in this video, without major spoilers, we told you what the second season of The Last of Us will be about. Want to know what the third season will be about? Then be sure to write about it in the comments, and we will make a video on this topic. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. See you in the next one.